Sometimes we don't choose silence, silence chooses us. There was a year I barely spoke, not because I had nothing to say, but because silence became the only space that made sense. It wasn't depression, it was something deeper. Life had pulled me inward. Everything I once used to define myself, like teaching, productivity, the social rhythm of the world, suddenly stopped making sense. I had always been surrounded by noise, the sound of children learning, the pulse of a classroom, the tempo of giving more than I had. But that year, all of it dissolved. I didn't plan to retreat, the retreat chose me. And what I discovered in that silence is what I'm sharing now. At first, the quiet felt like a sentence I didn't deserve. Days stretched out long and empty. I tried to fill the space with little things, like pressing flowers into bookmarks, collecting gravel and turning them into small art pieces, painting smooth stones by hand. I didn't realize then that these quiet actions were a kind of therapy. And pulling weeds away from the garden mirrored the way I began pulling out false beliefs. Replanting taught me that some things have to die back before they bloom. I wasn't just healing, I was learning how to be with myself. No classroom, no applause, just the soil, the silence, and slow return of self. It's in stillness that we start to see how much of us was built to please others. In that silent year, I confronted everything I avoided, memories I'd buried, grief I had bypassed by staying busy. I saw how much of my strength had been performance, how much I'd built on the need to be needed. My old identities started peeling away: teacher, achiever, caregiver. They weren't lies, but they weren't the whole truth either. Without them, I didn't know who I was, and that terrified me. But I stayed. I let the mirror crack, and when it did, I saw someone I hadn't met in a long time. It was myself, unmasked and raw. I thought I had been abandoned, but I was really being set apart. What no one tells you about this path is how lonely it can get. Not just alone, but lonely in a way that presses on your bones. Friendships shifted, conversations dried out, invitations stopped. It felt like exile, but over time, I realized it was consecration. The silence was an absence. It was space, sacred space, for something new to be born. I began writing again, just a little each day, not to be seen, not to be praised, just to put words back where they belong, in my soul. My writing became a thread pulling me forward, one sentence at a time. I began to revive myself. before I could become new, I had to thank and release who I used to be. The hardest part wasn't losing people, it was losing the version of me that was built for them. The one who overfunctioned, the one who smiled while burning out, who always said yes. I grieved her and I thanked her because she got me through the hard parts, but she couldn't take me any further. This collapse wasn't failure, it was refinement. I learned that real strength isn't loud, it doesn't chase, it doesn't need to explain. Real strength can sit in a room alone and still feel whole. Just when I thought I had made it through, the storm returned, this time deeper. Then came the storm, right when I thought I was healing. It all hit again. Old wounds, financial pressure, sudden anxiety. It felt like everything I had repaired cracked open. But this time, I didn't run. I didn't try to fix it all. I breathed. I let the storm move through me instead of trying to outrun it. And somewhere inside that chaos, I found a deeper stillness, a part of me that didn't panic anymore, that didn't collapse, that could stand, even trembling, and not shudder. There's a moment in every transformation where the old life calls you home. There was also a temptation to go back, to return to comfort, to rejoin the familiar roles and people who no longer fit. Old jobs reach out, so did old habits. It was seductive. When you're tired from growth, regression feels like rest. But I knew if I went back, I'd have to shrink again. I'd have to betray what I just uncovered. So I didn't. I chose silence again, stillness, integrity, and in doing so, I proved something to myself that I didn't have to lose myself again to belong. When nothing was happening, something sacred was still unfolding. A long, dry stretch of nothing. No big epiphanies, no breakthroughs, just stillness. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong, but what I now know is that delay isn't denial, it's preparation. My outer world hadn't caught up with my inner world, so life made me wait. During that waiting, I crafted more, wrote more, tended the garden, cooked, slept, let the body catch up to the soul, and slowly everything aligned. The right people found me, the right opportunities came, not because I forced them, but because I became someone who no longer chased. Without an audience, I learned what I truly loved. This season also stripped me of needing recognition. I created without an audience, wrote without readers, crafted without compliments, and somewhere in that ego starvation, I found freedom. I remember that value isn't earned through applause. Worth doesn't require witness. My soul didn't need validation, it needed freedom, simplicity, quiet joy. That's what crafting taught me. That beauty doesn't have to shout. It can whisper from a corner table, in a single thread, in a quiet sentence, in a planted seed. That silent year didn't end me. It introduced me to who I was always meant to be. Now, when I look back, I see that my silent year was an exile. It was initiation. It didn't break me. It introduced me to who I really am. Everything that's come after, like the peace, the clarity, the quiet strength, they were all born from that void. So if you are in that place right now, if the world feels far and your voice feels buried, trust it, my friend. Not all silence is empty. Some silences are sacred, and sometimes being pulled away isn't rejection, it's preparation for the life that's actually yours. Thank you for spending this time with me. If my journey through silence resonated with something new, I pray that it brings comfort and clarity in your own season. I don't take it lightly that you listen all the way to the end. So, from one quiet soul to another, thank you. May your path be gentle and your silence full of meaning. Till next time, bye.